hours here in a second. Also, if you live on campus in one of our base model residence halls, and then if you have our basic meal plan. So about $700 to $800. It's cheaper, of course, if you opt to live off campus, but I would always encourage you to live on campus. Even being here local, that's how you meet people, that's how you get involved in things. You're always around student life and what's going on campus. So I would always encourage on-campus housing if that's something that can work with your financial situation. And so I did mention credit hours. Some of you are probably taking concurrent classes or are familiar with how the college hours work, but for some of you it might be a brand new thing. It was new to me when I started concurrent work as a high school student. So for every class, most of our classes are going to be 3 credit hours. That means you're going to be sitting in an actual classroom with an instructor for 3 hours per week. So that frees up a lot of your schedule as compared to high school typically. So you may go to English Comp 1 Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 9:50, and that's all you're going to go to class. Now, that doesn't mean that you're only going 3 days instead of 5, it must be less work or whatever. No, you're doing a lot of the work on your own outside of the class. You're going to be reading on your own, you're going to be completing assignments on your own. There's not really going to be that class time to go ahead and work on your assignment for today. That's all pretty much outside of class. So most of our students will take 12 to 15 credit hours as a freshman. 12 is considered full-time, so that's 4 classes. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but like I said, we're doing a lot of that class work outside of the classroom. And you learn to manage what that looks like for you. Some of your classes are going to require a lot of stuff outside of class, and some of your classes are going to be pretty minimal outside of class. It just kind of depends on the load that you have. So like I said, 12 hours is considered full-time. Especially for anything financial aid related. That's what they look at to be a full-time student. To complete a degree in 4 years, we recommend 15 hours per semester, so that keeps you on track to get to 120 hours by the end of your 4 years. And so I'm also going to talk about dorms and meal plans. I do have view books for all of you today if you would like to grab one. This has all the information that I'm talking about. If you want to sit down and look at that, if you want to crunch numbers, things like that, you can definitely pick one of those up from me at the end of the day. So we have several different residence hall options. You guys may be familiar with them, you may not. I'll have a slide at the end that talks about coming and visiting campus. If it's something that you know you're coming to SWOSU and you're thinking about living on campus or off campus, I encourage you to come for a tour and look at our residence halls and get a feel for what they look like before submitting the application. You may also know some upperclassmen students that are at SWOSU now. You could ask them if you could come and see what their dorm looks like because they are pretty different depending on the type and style of residence hall. So we have kind of our basic plans. Or basic residence halls, which is what you would consider, I think, a traditional dorm. It's you and a roommate sharing a room. The bathroom is shared down the hall. So in the bathroom, there's shower stalls, bathroom stalls, and sinks, and it's a shared space. That very traditional on-campus living situation. We then have Manhall South, which has been recently renovated. If you go down Davis Street, you can tell its windows look different. It just looks different than the other residence halls. And it is still you and a roommate sharing a room, and then in there the bathrooms are a little bit different. So instead of the big shared space, there's 4 bathrooms on each side of the hall, so 8 total on the floor. And you go in there, you close the door behind you. There's a very large shower, a bathroom, and then a sink. So you lock the door behind you, and you're the only person in there. So it's a little more private than that shared space. And then our most expensive residence hall is going to be Black Kettle. It's suite style, and it is 4 people sharing a room, so 2 in a bedroom and then a bathroom in the suite. The only downside to that is that because the bathroom is within your suite, you're responsible for cleaning said bathroom. In all the other halls, you don't have to worry about that. Someone else cleans the bathroom for you. So kind of a trade-off for what you want to do. Also, Black Kettle is relatively small compared to our other halls, so most of the time it's going to be reserved for our upperclassmen students. It's kind of hard to get into as a freshman. If you live on campus, you also have to have a meal plan, and that is pretty standard for all colleges and universities. They want to make sure that if you're on campus that you have a place to eat and get food. So we have a lot of different meal plan options. It just kind of depends what you want to do. If you're here locally, I might recommend one of our smaller meal plans if you think you might be going back home. If eat at McDonald's on a regular basis, things like that, and you don't want to spend every single meal on campus, a smaller meal plan might be the right option. And like I said, there's lots of different choices there. If you've ever been on campus and eaten on our campus, we have two main different options. So you can eat in the cafeteria. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet. They always have like 3 or 4 different options to choose from as far as food. Always a salad bar, and then several desserts. And there's always ice cream that you can dish up yourself. You can have as much hot cobbler and ice cream as you want every day. That's where the freshman 15 comes in case you're wondering. It's cafeteria ice cream. Then we also have the grill. So the grill has a bunch of different options: Italian, chicken, burgers, Mexican food. They're kind of opened on a rotational basis, so they're not all open on the same day. But you can go in there and grab like a burger and fries, a pizza. You know, they have really great little combos in the Mexican food place where you can get a burrito and a taco and some chips and queso, things like that. So there's a lot of different things and options for you. It's not the exact same food every single day. And I know I mentioned cafeteria food earlier. I promise you, it's really, really good food. I personally eat there several times a week. It's cheap for one, and it's really good food. Also, my mom is a food services person, so she makes sure that I eat over there several times, but it's great food. If you are planning on coming to SWOSU and you are wanting to live on campus, you do have to apply for admission and get admitted to SWOSU, and then you will apply for housing afterward. Because you have to have your SWOSU student ID, which you don't get until you're admitted, and then also the housing application now lives within your student portal in something called Star Res. So you have to be able to log into that system as a SWOSU student before you can submit the application. So apply to SWOSU. If you haven't done that yet and you're even remotely thinking about SWOSU, apply now. Now is the time to do that as a senior. And then if you're thinking about living on campus, apply as soon as you get admitted to SWOSU. That way, you can make sure you get to choose your top 3 choices for residence halls. So the sooner you get your application in, the more likely you are to get that top choice. And there is a deposit for housing. It's $150 as long as you let them know your final decision before June 1st. Like if you decide you're not going to go to SWOSU or you're not going to live on campus, you can get that full deposit back if you tell them before June 1st. After that, they're going to go ahead and keep it. And then if you do go ahead and live on campus, you'll get that deposit back at the point that you move out of campus. So Jennifer, again, already kind of talked about, she talked a lot about FAFSA, which I encourage you to complete, even if you think you may not be eligible for anything, complete the FAFSA. I hear students all the time that say, I don't think I'm going to do that. Go ahead and do it. I know it's kind of cumbersome, but honestly, it becomes not that big of a deal if you do it every single year. You get used to it, you know what to expect, especially if you have a worksheet sitting in front of you that can kind of walk you through what the questions are talking about and asking. We do have academic scholarships, as she mentioned, so we are going to look at your ACT and your GPA for those. So make sure you get those submitted to us. When you apply, we can admit you with one or the other, but in order to calculate your scholarship, you need both, so make sure you get both to us. We also have talent scholarships, so some of you might be aware of these. You might be already talking to some departments. Music does a lot of scholarships for both vocal and instrumental music. We have some art and theater scholarships as well. We also have a marching band scholarship if you're interested in being in the marching band. PLC is a scholarship that we typically have some great Weatherford students be a part of. PLC is our President's Leadership Class, so it takes our top 15 or so freshmen each year, and they get a scholarship opportunity. They also in a leadership class for 2 years, and then at the end of their second year in the program, they take a trip to Washington, D.C. So it is a nice little scholarship, but also a program to help develop you further as a leader. Athletic scholarships, of course, and then we talked a lot about financial aid. And I kind of already mentioned this, but complete your admission application and send in both those transcripts and those ACT scores. You'll automatically be considered for our academic scholarships. So you don't have to do anything extra for those academic awards. For the grant-based awards, you would have to do the FAFSA. But if you have any new ACTs or GPAs that come out, of course, send those to us. That might update your scholarship. So if you're sending us an ACT right now that you took last year as a junior in October maybe, and you're planning on taking the October ACT this year, send us that updated score. You can update that information for your scholarship, and that may change your award amount. And then after you have been admitted, if you're a first-time incoming freshman, whether you've taken concurrent with us or not, you will have to go through new student orientation. We'll start emailing you about that in November, or as soon as you get admitted after that point. We want to make sure that you're just aware of that process. You have to go through new orientation to be enrolled as an incoming freshman. We have dates starting in April. We do 3 dates in April. If you're here close to campus and you can come in April, I highly, highly recommend it. I know April is a busy season, especially for seniors, but that will give you the best option at picking your classes. There'll be a lot of openings still available. It's not that we can't build you a schedule after April, it just becomes a little bit harder to put together maybe the exact class schedule that you want. Whereas in April, we have lots of options and we can make that work with kind of whatever your needs may be. And then I'm going to encourage you, especially as students that are local to Weatherford, once you get to campus, I want you to get involved. We have over 100 clubs and organizations on campus. Things very similar to what you've been doing in high school, and probably things that you've never been exposed to before, that might be totally new to you. Things that you may want to continue doing, such as if you're into community service, there's organizations on campus that are big into community service. If you want to get to know other people, maybe you want to be in Greek life and get into one of our sororities or fraternities. So find ways to get involved on campus. If you're staying here local, you're living at home maybe, this is especially important because we want you to get plugged into the campus community. That's the best way to maximize your experience at SWOSU, and there's a ton of different opportunities to do that on our campus. And then also support our teams. We have 13 different athletic teams on campus. I will say some of them are doing better than others, but they're all really fun to go and watch. Especially, I think volleyball is really fun to watch. They really get into it. They're a very spirited group, so that's a really fun group to go and watch. But all of our teams are fun. Go, be involved, have school spirit. It's the best way to have the best experience that you can. And I know most of you are probably familiar with Crowd Relate. It has free activities for students as a SWOSU student. You can show your student ID, you can have a kayak canoe, there's axe throwing out there now, there's a walking trail if you just want to go out there and walk. So it has a lot of great things for students as well. I want to be mindful of time. We also do have campus jobs. So earlier, Jennifer mentioned work study. Those would be jobs that are on campus. Even if you don't qualify for work study, you can still work on campus. For example, my office has about 8 student workers that work in our office, and they are mainly tour guides for our students that come and visit campus. You can work in the wellness center as an attendant at the front desk or in the weight room. You can work in food services and help out with the grill or cafeteria, or even catering. So there's a lot of different types of jobs on campus that would get you a lot of different experience. So if that's something you're thinking about, I would recommend it. Again, whether you qualify for work study or not, it's a great way to get to know campus a little bit more. There's also some perks about campus being closed. Like if fall break comes around, campus is closed, we're not going to ask you to work. There's a snow day, you're probably not going to have to come in. So things like that are always a nice little perk of working on campus. And here I just want to plug 2 of our events that are coming up. One is SWOSU Saturday on November 5th, and then the other is Health Careers Day, which is on November 18th. So SWOSU Saturday is a day when all of our departments will be available. You can get a campus tour, look at our residence halls, talk to those departments. If you know exactly what you want to major in, or if you're undecided, that's a great option. And then our Health Careers Day is just for our health-related majors. So if you're thinking maybe nursing or something in allied health, like physical therapy assistant, something like that, they're all set up that day, and they also have presentations. So those are 2 great options for you to come and check out SWOSU. And then we also offer individual campus tours Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. So you can set that up as well on the website. We'd be happy to have you on campus, show you around, get you in touch with the department so you can learn more about their program. Really anything you want to do on a campus tour, we can pretty much make happen. So we can really tailor that to whatever you would like. And I know we're about out of time. Does anyone have any questions generally about SWOSU? Any questions about FAFSA? Okay, down here at the front, I do have view books, if you guys would like those, and then I know Jennifer has some worksheets and other things. So if you would like some of our information, please come get them, and also let your parents know to come see us Monday night.